Okay guys, here's some of the stuff that I pulled out from the other plane. Here's the motor. I got my receiver right here, some of the screws, my Y harness with the reverser for the two flaps servos. I also got my finally got the 60 amp Dynam ESC that I pulled from one of my Dynam meteors. Great ESC. The setup that was in the meteor, I mean, it was just an amazing setup. It's just an unfortunate thing that happened to my meteor. Won't go into that now. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this ESC and put it in to this plane. I mean, it's more than enough power for this plane. Another thing that we're going to be doing before we go, I pulled out the fuselage. This is the fuselage. As you can see, I took off the eagle sticker that was on here, since we're going to be painting it over it anyway. Took off that eagle sticker. Let's see what else. What I'm going to do right now though is I'm going to go ahead and cut right in here. If you look right here, I'm going to cut this little hole right here for the intake. This little scoop. There should be a hole here in this little scoop for airflow, and what that's going to do is that's going to help cool your ESC, especially when if you're going to be running it on 4 cells like I am. So we're going to go ahead and take our little X-Acto knife here. It doesn't have to be the prettiest. You know, you can start off with an X-Acto knife and then go in. If you have like a rotary tool, I have a rotary tool. But first I'm going to cut off with the X-Acto knife. It doesn't have to be pretty or anything like that, and then you can smooth it out with the rotary tool if you choose to do so. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the cut right here. We're going to go ahead and cut that down. Just you know, trying to make this hole for the air intake so that your ESC can breathe. So you know, just cut a rough hole. You know, it doesn't have to be a perfect hole. You just kind of punch it through. You know what I mean? Punch it through, and then you can pull it out, and you know, and there you go. There's your little hole for your air intake. And you know, you don't have to you know, well, of course, if you make an intake, you gotta make an exhaust, right? So what a lot of planes, a lot of P-51s, or actually all of them, have an exhaust port somewhere around here. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut a little hole. I made actually a really big hole in the last plane that I did. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of see, should we cut it here or here? Let's go ahead and cut it on this one, and we're gonna make it a little smaller than the one I made before, but a still fairly decent sized hole, just so that we can get some airflow. Okay, so just gonna cut it here, cut it down. I saw the hole that somebody had made on their P-51, and it was long and skinny, and you know what, that's just fine. It doesn't need to be like, if you look at my plane, there is a huge gaping hole in my plane, in my first plane, and you know, I didn't really care how the back looked, just as long as it performed. But you know, the more you think about it, you know, especially if you're running in a big ESC like I am, you don't really need that much airflow, just as long as there's some airflow coming through, you know, and air is gonna flow in and out anyway. So you know, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, so many people, they go for such perfection, and you know, I want my plane to look nice, of course, but you know, I'm no artist, so I don't really, it doesn't really bother me if it looks 100% like how the real planes look, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, you can smooth it out as much as you can if you want, and the inside, you know, smooth it out. You can also do this with a rotary tool, like a Dremel tool or something like that. But just something that, you know, just something where the air can come out of. And then, you know, we're gonna be painting over this anyway, so that it kind of blends in a little bit, so that you can really see it. So that's our first little mod. I'm gonna smooth this out later. This little these little scoops, I'm gonna smooth these out with my Dremel tool. Another thing that we're gonna be doing before I begin is with this motor right here. Well, actually, what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna pull this motor out, and we're gonna pull the motor out. We're gonna put the wings on, and we're gonna paint it before we put all the electronics back in. We're gonna put the wings on. We're gonna paint it, and we're going to. Well, what I will be doing is I will be installing those servos on the wings, so that when I paint over it, it'll kind of blend in. So, but other than that, we're gonna be taking the motor out, and before we put the motor back in, I'm gonna reinforce the motor mount inside the back plate. I'm gonna reinforce that back plate with some epoxy. And the reason why I'm going to use epoxy is because if you have, you know, if you have a little crash or whatever, or if you have enough vibration, that back plate will come loose so quickly, and you'll have so much vibration in your plane. Right now it feels like it's pretty firm, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, and I'd rather reinforce it before we take it up and before we run it even further. So we're gonna go ahead and take the motor out. I'm gonna put some tape on the inside right here to protect it when we spray paint. We're gonna put the wings on. We're gonna put those little circles in, and then gonna tape it up a little bit, and then we're gonna put our base coat over it. We're gonna put our base coat over the plane, and then we'll go ahead and after that dries, then we'll go ahead and do our patterns. All right, and then we'll put our electronics back in, especially the motor and the ESC. Put that back in, plug it up, do all that stuff, and do what we gotta do from there. But you know, thanks for watching again, and that's it. All right, what's up, everybody? Just an update. Got the new P-51 pretty much assembled. I still got a couple more things I got to take care of. I reinforced the motor mount in here like I said I was gonna do. I put some epoxy just because in case there's any vibrations or anything like that. That back plate tends to get really loose, so I wanted to go ahead and take care of that. With the landing gear, if you look right in here, you can see some pieces of popsicle sticks that I put in there. And the reason why I did that was to add a little bit more angle. I also bent the landing gear right here at the joint here, so that it adds a little bit more angle on the wings, just like a scale P-51 would have. That way, when you're landing, your plane won't tend to, or my plane won't tend to nose over like it would if it was in the stock position. I glued the wings together. I didn't glue it onto the plane, of course, but I glued the wings together. Put my servos in for the flaps. I haven't cut the foam yet for the flaps. But I will do that after we paint and everything. That's what we're going to be doing right now. Is we're going to be painting. Going to put down a base coat, and then once that's done and dry, first I'm going to tape the canopy area and where the engine mount is. I'm going to put tape there, and then we're going to put a top coat here on the top. I'm going to put a top coat here on the top, and then after that dries, we're going to turn it over and put another coat on the bottom. And then hopefully that'll dry tonight, and then tomorrow we'll do some more detailed painting. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and do some painting real quick. I'm going to put the plane up on the table, because that's what I put the paper up on the table for. So. I don't really care if I get paint on my foam stand. It's not really a concern of mine.
You're gonna